you had said something and it had pertained to old school way and the new school way, and you had referenced the understanding that like you know how you raised, like your parents couldn't do it, like it was a different time. So my question is, how do you feel about gentle parenting now as opposed to like when you were growing up, or how you raised your child? Probably a little bit more, well, I don't, well, you guys, dang, you guys were kind of on point though. You guys were kind of not gentle parenting, but you guys are kind of already on point. But like some parents are like rough, they're aggressive, they're doing what they were told or what they feel is necessary. They were showing love in their way. They were disciplinaries in different ways. And then now those same parents are much softer with their grandkids. And my question is, how do you feel? How do you elders feel about that? Are you like that? Do you understand it? And that's my question.
Okay, because I'll say that one of the things that my children would say to me, oh, it's given the fact that I had 7 children, that the youngest, that she got away with a lot of things that they couldn't get away with. It's funny because she reminded me, mommy, do you remember when we you had to get a cell phone for me? And it wasn't like something that was like a priority too, but what had happened was we didn't know what had happened to her or my nephew. They were supposed to be home by a certain time and they weren't home. So it's just, yeah, as so you become more gentle, you know, you become more receptive. Oh yeah, yeah, right, yeah. He shouldn't. Yeah, maybe my grandchild doesn't need a cell phone at 5. Now the present, but then there's all these different things that's happening and going on. So you have to
Mm,
be very mindful and careful about your children. And it's funny because my youngest daughter, she has 3 children now. Her son is 6. And I noticed, I believe from maybe a year ago, since he started public school, she has a tracking device on him, so she knows where he is at
I like
all
that.
times.
I love that. I love that.
So sometimes he'll get dropped off over by me. The school bus will drop him off, and I'll say to her, I'll call her. I went to the bus stop. I didn't see him. He's like, he was on the bus. He got off the bus, and he probably decided to walk home by himself because he feels a sense of independence, and
Hmm.
it's not that not far for him to get home to. So yeah.
But
So
do you feel like gentle parenting like makes do you like I understand you learn certain things and you're like, dang, maybe I don't need to beat them with a stick. But at the same time, like, do you feel like the gentle parenting is kind of softening them up too much? Like, I feel like this generation, like the the
uh,
morale is not like, you know what I'm saying? They much more
I,
whiny. They don't have the resilience to much stuff, and
mm, mm.
I'm not saying that it's the cause, but I feel like gentle parent, I think that the balance is needs to be a little bit more balanced. That's my opinion. I'm just asking you
Yeah.
your opinion.
Yeah, it needs to be balanced because I feel that some parents just let, whatever it is a child wants, the child gets it. Immediate gratification. Okay. No no kind of compromise, you know. So yeah, there is a big difference with how um parents, well, how some parents are raising
Yes.
their children as opposed to, based on how I even say I raised my children.
Anybody else? I want to somebody else. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sister Caroline. Go ahead.
I just want to make 2 points. One, that I just want to make a point here that I think things this for me is where you see the cultural differences between UK and America, because I know child abductions are huge in America, and because it's such a vast land, you can take a child and disappear them in hours, whereas we're on a little island at the end of the day. If you abduct a child from where I live, you got to get off the island really, and we don't have the kind of infrastructure, the kind of houses where you can, you hear about these people having children in basements, and that you cannot be seen in America. So I think I just wanted to relay that point in terms of like the tracker, because I think that makes, when I hear how America is, that makes so much sense to me. I don't think that's something we really do here, because I don't think the need for it is as urgent. But I think maybe in a city like London, it might be, because again, a child can get disappeared somewhere like London much more easily than where we are. And then the second thing I wanted to say is, Mom, do you know what gentle parenting is? Do you know what that means? What's it mean? What's it mean there? I'm a child. Don't ask me what it means.
Okay, you tell me. Go ahead.
I'm not telling you. If you know what it means, I'm not going to be disrespectful on camera. Mom, she never saw that. I never said it. What do you think about it then, Mom?
Okay, my thoughts on that is that you have to teach children boundaries. You have to help them to understand the world as it is today, and what dangers are out there for them, and help them to understand that. And I think that's very important to keep them safe. They may think that you're being harsh, and they will thank you later in life, but it's important that you get that point across when they're young, so that they may, not want to do what you say, but you have to be forceful, and you have to explain to them why you're doing it. Yeah. And we know there's a lot of dangers out there for young children these days. Yeah. And with their mobile phones, and you have to really help them to understand, because you don't want them to have regrets later on when things have gone so badly wrong for them. And for you as a parent as well, you have to deal with the consequences of that. So yes, there has to be strict parenting in some regards. And as a parent, you have to try and navigate your way, and what is the best way to go about it, and where you should be really harsh, and where you can be more gentle, in order to get them to understand, that you care about them, and you care about their welfare, and you want to keep them from harm, because there are some very difficult times there where children can, not want to listen to their parents because they're following their peers. And peer pressure is a really important factor in their life as well. They have to deal with the peer pressure, and they're fighting against what their friends want them to do, as opposed to what their parents are telling them is the best thing for them. So it's not easy, is what I find. But it's something that you have to do as a parent if you care about your children's welfare.
I know, and I agree 100%. So my question to you now is, from the time that you raised your children, your daughters, to now when you're like helping or being in a communal raising of your grandchildren, is there a difference? Is there a difference
Yes, yes,
in the
The
way that
same
you
question.
handle?
yes, it's a difference. There's a difference because they're my grandchildren. I'm not gonna be the mother and they're
Oh,
my
okay.
grandchildren. But if they need to be disciplined, if they're doing something wrong, I'm gonna discipline them and teach them the right things. But I'm not gonna be like their mother.
Is
Why
that
do
what
you
it
think our
is?
dynamic is any different though? Why that difference? I'm just
Why
curious.
the difference because their grandmother? I don't want to be their mother. I don't want to be a discipline them like, oh, I would discipline my child when they were growing up. That's me. I don't know for nobody else, but that's me. But if they need to be disciplined when they are in my care, I'm going to do it.
That reminds me of what I said about Mama B yesterday. How my cousin Donovan was telling our good friend, who I call her brother Whitey, that he wished that he was around, Whitey was around when we were younger, because of the disciplinarian my grandmother was. As she aged, that dissipated. She became softer, and she wasn't, you know, as Jennifer is saying, she wasn't our mom. So we experienced a different type of a parent from what they would have experienced. And I'm sure my children, my son and my nephews, nieces are experiencing my mother in a different light than we experienced my mother as, because as she expressed, even my youngest sister experienced a different mother. I don't think any child or sibling experiences the same parent, because you can't be the same for everybody. Everybody is different and they need different type of parenting.
Exactly, because I just had this conversation with my daughter, and she was saying the thing, oh, I'm soft to, you know, who's Sintonian, and soft to the grandkids and to my younger child. But I'm like, I'm in a different space and do different things. And then she catch herself and say, oh yeah, I know. He was parenting me different because it was a different time and a different time now. So she kind of understand why she's saying, while she said it to me. So it's just that. And as I said, my grandkids, I just want them to come and I love them and do whatever, but I'm not going to make them get out of hand if they are with me and disrespect me as a grandparent.
I think a lot of the time the grandchildren also behave differently towards the grandparents. No, because they're being told they can't be disrespectful to their grandparents. And when they're in your care, they behave differently, I find. But they do, my grandchildren anyway, all of them, they are very well behaved when they're with me. I can't fault any of them, and I have 5. They're very well behaved, and they listen, and they take my advice, is what I've found. And I would never try to interfere with what their mom would want, you know, their parents would want for them. I try to, you know, to go along with what the parents want as well, you know, and not to get into conflict. You don't want to be in conflict with the parents. That's not good for the children to see that either, for the grandchildren to see that. Because they want to see that your grandparents and their moms getting on, you know, and they have their best interests at heart. And I love all my grandchildren, and they're all very lovely.
I will say though, can I just say,
5 granddaughters and 2 great granddaughters as well.
I think Mom, Ome and Millie and Jade and Eshe and Zalika, and you know, I think they are Mom's dreams personified, because they're better than us. But there was one instance, Mom, when I was in the gym and Mom had them, and Millie was being challenging, and I got a phone call saying, "Come and get your pitney," and I was on the treadmill, and I was like, "Put her on the phone on the treadmill." I was like, "Millie, I'm trying to train." So Millie hasn't always, and there was another time when I phoned up, and I was talking to Mom, and I could hear in the background, "We want juice." We want. Do you remember that, Mom? I think they were about 4 and 5.
I was just gonna ask, what age was that? You know, because when they're younger, they on, don't they? You know.
Yeah. When they're little, they tried it, but I do think that they are. Like I say, I think the grandchildren are better than us anyway, because it's the evolution. Do you know what I mean? So. And what we talked about, that magic, as we talked about yesterday, between elders and youngers. But I think part of the reason there's such affection for them is because, you know, they're dreamy with Nanny. You know what I mean? I look at them, I'm like, oh my goodness. They don't back chat. They don't, you know, it goes 2 ways. It's like being a gentle child as well. You know, they don't challenge her. They don't do nothing that's disrespectful.
And you should be proud of that because they come to me often and they spend a good amount of time, and I have nothing to complain about. We have a good relationship, and I love it that way. They listen. Sometimes we have conversations and they listen to what I say, and yeah, and they know that I expect them to respect you as well, so they understand quite well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
was
as long
raised
as
by a grandmother, and and I love my grandmother. So I'm happy that I have a relationship with my grandchildren. Yeah.
and as long as the children see you with that they your children, my children is respecting their parents, they're gonna have respect too. If the parents don't have no respect for the parents, the grandkids gonna have no respect for you either. So as long as everybody is showing respect to each other, because I know people have grandchildren and the grandchildren don't have no respect, and it's because of the parent. If the child do something and you tell them they do something, and the parents, okay, you gotta listen to your grandmother, they can't do this, they're gonna respect you. But if the parent, your child don't have no respect for you, the grandchild not gonna respect you or want to listen to
That's
you.
true too.
Miss
Absolutely.
Jean, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I'll add that that's one of the things that my daughter does. She reiterates when, like, she brings her children over. Like I said, her son, he's 6. Um my granddaughter is 2 and the baby is 11 months. But one of the things that she reiterates to her, um, you listen to that's my mommy. I have to listen to her and I
Exactly.
expect you to do the same as well. So she reinforces that with them. Of lately, my grandson, oh, what he calls me? Old lady. And so my daughter gets on it, gets on him about that. you know, was
Gotta let them know this old lady still get you. That's all you gotta tell her.
Don't
exactly
don't
right.
don't, don't laugh when he's saying that. Teach
Hmm?
it the truth. Just don't laugh when he's talking like that, so he thinks that
Yes,
So he
it's
don't
not
think it's
funny.
funny.
Yes,
yeah,
it's not funny. It's not funny. But like I said, my daughter does reinforce the importance
yeah.
of, the fact that he has me as his grandmother and that he's fortunate in that aspect and that he has to, because he's setting the tone for, his younger siblings, you know. So, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful, that I'm fortunate to have my now 8 grandchildren.
Since you were a more progressive parent, would you say that you treat your grandchildren the same as you do your children, or are you just a little bit softer with them as opposed to your children?
It,
Um, for me, I'll say that I think I am a bit softer with the grandchildren because I'm aware that they have their mother, and
Everybody.
Okay, so that
and
was
she will set the boundary, you know,
I'm hardcore.
and
Everybody.
I don't want to get involved with that, because they are getting
I'm
good boundaries.
grandparent.
So when they're with me, they relax, and we relax together, and they and they, they're good company. I can't fault them.
Ma, what you was about to say before I asked my question?
No, I said I think all grandparents have a little softer
Oh,
spot with grandchildren than.
I think so too.
I feel gentle parenting has absolutely softened people in general. You don't know how strong you are until you face adversity. And not saying that it's wrong to give your children what you didn't have, but you should add in how hard it was for you to be able to get to that spot to do that for them. I think that there is a happy medium between gentle parenting and spare the rod, spoil the child. I was at a place where I realized that beating a child or, spanking a child physically does nothing but stop that child's trust in you, and it really kills the spirit of the child. However, some children, as the one that's asking me these questions, will try you if you if you give them light punishments. And sometimes it works though, because the child is asking me, well, she's not a child, but my child that's asking me these questions made her punishments work for her, because now she is a full writer and an intellectual, and that was her punishments, to read and write essays. So I consider that gentle parenting. In a way, it helped, but the stern attitude was needed as well.
Okay. Gentle parenting as a grandparent.
I think it's much easier than being a parent. You still worry a lot, you still want the best for your grandchildren, but you get to spoil them. You get to, get them all the stuff that their parents don't want to get them and send them home, which is a great thing. I have been kind of stern with my grandchildren, but only in extreme situations. I don't feel like grandparents should be that hard on their grandchildren. You should be the soft place for them to fall when they don't agree with their parents, and then you can come at them from a different perspective and maybe make them see what their parents were trying to get across to them. It's more, for the parent, it's more dire and not serious, but more of a necessity to have them where they want them. And as a grandparent, that they're going to blossom and they're going to turn into the person that they're supposed to, regardless of whether you're hard on them, soft on them, or somewhere in between. So you have that leeway to play with, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.